Now, for those in the audience getting to know you for the very first time,
Mhm.
care to share where you were born
Yeah, I was born in Port Arthur, Texas.
and care to share where you were raised as well,
Mobile, Alabama, most of my life.
and care to share where you reside these days,
No,
but no longer in Mobile, Alabama.
no, I don't stay in Mobile.
What age were you when you finally moved out?
Mobile,
Yes.
16, 15, 16 years old.
Now, what was the reason for the move, if we backtrack for a second, from Port Arthur to Mobile and then leaving Mobile at that age you did?
Well, moving from Port Arthur was my mama choice, like a choice my mama wanted to make. But moving from Alabama to LA was because we got evicted from my house in Alabama, and we ain't had nowhere to go. So like we had to like mama packed up everything she could fit in her car, me and my brother, and we just drove to LA to go stay with my mama friend. I call her my auntie, you know, and we stayed out there until my mama got on her feet. Well, by the time mama got on her feet, I was like already like 17, and I thought I was grown, so I just ended up like not going back to the South for a while and staying out there trying to figure the music shit out.
Now, are you able to put the age range on that history there? Port Arthur to Mobile, and then, well, you already mentioned Mobile to LA. We know when that happened. But
Hmm.
do you recall the age from Port Arthur to Mobile?
Yeah, I was probably like 6 or 7, and even before then, like I was going back and forth from Alabama to Texas, like majority of like my young childhood, from like Mount Vernon, because that's where my people, that's where my daddy side of the family from, Mount Vernon, Alabama, like McIntosh and shit like that. So they had a crib out there, they built the crib out there. My daddy had stayed out there, and then we went back to Texas, and then we went to Montgomery. Now then we went back to Texas one more time, and then goddamn, we went back to Alabama. So I was just back and forth a lot as a kid until we just permanently stayed out there.
Now, for you, when it comes to Mobile, Alabama in particular,
Hmm.
was it a certain portion of Mobile you were raised in?
Hmm. I was mostly raised in I'll say Mount Vernon, Alabama, which is on like the outskirts. I'll say like literally in the city, Mobile, like goddamn on Airport Boulevard and shit like that, like literally like right in the middle of the city. Forgot the goddamn name of the area, just Mobile. Shit, I stayed in goddamn Chickasaw before, and that's all pretty much like I said, right outside Mobile. Stayed in Grand Bay. I stayed all over Alabama, but just like mostly either in Mobile or on the outskirts of Mobile. Like I stayed in Saraland. I stayed everywhere around Alabama. And then we stayed in Barber County for a little bit too. That's like 40 minutes outside Mobile.
And what do you think were the reasons for all these little moves here?
Man, when I was younger, I think my mama just like to relocate a lot. But like we also got like I got evicted a lot I remember getting evicted a lot when I was a kid, like a lot, like changing schools a lot. Um, I remember we stayed in a trailer park. Like we had a trailer. I remember like I guess when you don't like pay your trailer or some shit, they cut that motherfucker in half or something to move it or some shit like that. Like I remember that shit happening. Um, like we just moved a lot when I was a kid. So like that actually had a lot to do with me staying in LA. My mama, like, cause when she went back to the South, she decided like she got on her feet and she decided to go back to the South. You know what I'm saying? But like at that point, I'm like, man, I'm tired of moving, and I'm already 17. I'm about to be 18 years old. You know what I'm saying? Like I just got off of house arrest. Like I was just like, man, I'm just about to stay in California and just figure this music stuff out.
Now, how long do you think you resided in a trailer park for?
Mm. Mm.
Rough estimate.
Probably like a year. Probably like a year.
Now, for those that have heard the phrase trailer park,
Hmm.
may have seen this depicted in television, movies, may have heard it in lyrics and music, but have never actually lived in a trailer park before.
Mhm.
What was that really like?
I was like 3 or 4. It was cool. Like, it was regular childhood, growing up, playing with friends. It ain't a lot of thinking to being that young, watch your movies and play your video games, do your stuff like that and, just kick it. You know how that go.
And when it came to these evictions, what was the worst instance of that?
I remember coming home from school. This was the last time. I remember coming home from school, getting off the bus, and like walking up to our house, and it's crazy because like where the bus stop was, and my house was literally like only one house down. Like it was like kind of like if you can imagine like a street, and then it's like you make a left right here to go down the other street, and then my house is one house down on that street where the bus would drop us off at that curve right there. I get off the bus, I'm like, damn. I see all our stuff on the front line, like you know, like all our shit, like people like in our house putting shit in bags and stuff. And that was probably the worst instinct where I was like, just embarrassed, as a kid, like at that, like at that point I was like, 14, 15, 16 years old. So, you got friends, you got, like, you got your little reputation in your head and, how that stuff goes kind of. That's probably the one that was like, the most like damn moment.
Now, again, just like trailer parks, evictions is something that's depicted in television, movies, music, and things of that nature. And sometimes you hear of people getting evicted, but it doesn't get to that level where your worldly possessions are out on that front lawn. And then there have been those examples and instances where you've seen that.
Right.
Uh, Sometimes you've heard of like sheriffs coming or the police
For sure. Yeah,
doing
like
the
when they like by the time like they at the point of taking your stuff and putting it on the line and shit, the sheriff right there. He right there watching it happen. You know what I'm saying? Cause he gotta like if it get to that point, the sheriff is literally like they're literally own property until you get all your shit and tell them folks like they don't give a fuck what they grabbing. They coming there with them black bags, throwing whatever they want. They might throw your computer in there with the motherfucking trash can. They don't give a fuck what's going. They just putting all that shit in bags, throwing that shit out on the line. And I think I would say that probably happened twice in my life. But like the last one was the one that was like, damn, you know what I'm saying? Cause like, so we packed what we could fit in my mama car and like just headed for California way.
and when it came to this eviction, did you have any inkling this would happen?
Like thinking it'd happen.
Yeah, did you get warnings that this could happen? I mean, maybe your mother knew that this could happen, but did she tell you, "Hey, this could happen. This is a possibility," or you literally just got off the bus and that was spontaneous to you at that point in your life?
Yeah, for sure. For that one specifically, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I ain't even much know. Like I got off the school bus and but like I thought my mama was really cool with the landlord though. Like bro was cool, but like I guess he was pulling up all the time to get his check. You know what I'm saying? And like I guess we ain't have it or something. But I remember seeing my landlord like a lot. Like he was a cool old white dude. Bro was cool. Like you know what I'm saying? I ain't even much know we was on bad terms with him. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, for sure. I ain't had no idea.
So there would be other times when you faced eviction and you had a warning
For
that
sure.
something could
Cause,
happen.
cause you'll be coming home and you'll see that notice on the door. You know what I'm saying? That eviction notice. Rather it be the pink one or the one before that one where you like. But you know that the worst one is when you see that notice. You know what I'm saying? You gotta tell your folks like like mama, this was on the door. 3-day notice or whatever, and stuff like that.
Now, obviously, this was out of your control,
Absolutely.
but when you have had control in your life, never been evicted.
Hell no. I'm from that, and it's crazy you said that, but like just from growing up like that made me be more on top of my, what I'm saying, my mortgage, like the stuff I gotta pay, you know what I'm saying, my bills. I be more on top of it now, just so I don't ever have to, experience that or ever put anybody that I got depending on me in that situation ever again, for sure.
And how many evictions do you think you've, experienced in your life?
Um, in my life, I would say I've like I can't really tell you a number, but I can tell you like out of all out of all the I'll probably say out of all the houses I lived in, like growing up, like until the age of 15, we was probably evicted out of 80%, and we moved a lot.
But it was only twice when your material possessions were put
That
on
I
the front lawn.
that I can remember, yeah, for sure.
Now, asking you this because there may be someone watching this going through those motions and, having a moment where they're facing that.
Right,
Uh, through your previous experiences of going through that yourself, of course, circumstances could be different for everyone, but what do you say to someone in the audience hearing your story and all the evictions you've experienced and gone through out of your control? What do you say to that person to get through something of that nature for their very first time?
man. I really feel like it's cliche, to tell a person don't give up, but like that's what you have to do. Like you can't give up. Like um, the hard times you go through, when you do when you do get your blessings in life, you know what I'm saying, and the stuff that you want, like, your dreams prosper, it make it that much more worth it. Not of course you still got some motherfuckers who grew up with nothing and, started from the bottom with niggas and still switch up and be a hoe ass nigga, but like, like for that, for the people that's real and that do any kind of art or you want to do anything in life, man, you just can't give up and make sure if you doing something to keep yourself, stable financially, just don't give up on your passion and always, make that a priority, just like a bill.